I caught my wife rehearsing arguments in the mirror. Like, full-on fake tears, blame shifts, practiced gasps. Turns out she was recording evidence for a custody case that hadn't even started. Now she's asking to start fresh for the kids' sake. I don't even know how to explain this without sounding absolutely paranoid, but screw it, I've spent the last 2 months second-guessing my entire reality, so what's one more overshare on the internet? I'm a 34-year-old dad, 2 kids under 10, used to think I had a stable marriage. Like, not rom-com stable, more like shared calendar and takeout Fridays stable. And I was good with that. Predictable. Comfortable. Safe. Until I walked in on my wife having a full-blown Emmy-worthy breakdown in front of the mirror. Alone. Practicing lines like she was auditioning for a role. I'm talking fake tears, dramatic pauses, gasping like she'd just uncovered some horrifying betrayal. Except there was no audience. No one around. Just her and her phone. Propped up. Recording. And I just stood there, behind the door like an idiot, holding a bag of groceries and wondering what the hell I was watching. At first, I genuinely thought maybe she was doing some weird self-help thing, like inner child therapy or whatever people on TikTok talk about. But then she said my name. In this fake wounded voice. And I swear my stomach dropped so fast I forgot I was holding milk. I didn't confront her. Not then. I just backed out like I hadn't seen anything. Drove around the block twice before going back in. Said the traffic was bad. Classic coward move, I know. But something about that moment made everything in our marriage feel fake. Like I just glimpsed the rehearsal for a performance I didn't know I was in. I started noticing everything after that. Like my brain finally got the software update it had been skipping for years. The way she'd suddenly start fights out of nowhere, always right after checking her phone. The random "you never listened to me" monologues delivered like a speech she'd memorized. The weird pauses before she cried. I used to think I was just bad at comforting her. Yeah? Now I was wondering if she had seen cues. There was this one night kids were asleep, I was half passed out on the couch with a bowl of popcorn on my chest and she storms in holding her phone like it owed her money. She's crying. Like ugly crying. Tells me I'm emotionally unavailable and withholding intimacy. Which okay, valid points if we're being real. But it felt staged. Like a recycled script from a bad couple's retreat. And then she says, I just wish you'd care about me for once. Which sounds heartbreaking, right? Except I could see the little red light on her phone. She'd accidentally left it recording on the side table. I said nothing. I just stared at the blinking light and thought, oh cool, I'm on tape now. Maybe she'll edit in dramatic music. And from there, it got weirder. She started bringing up custody hypotheticals out of nowhere. Like, wouldn't it be wild if we ever split and had to share weekends? I laughed. She didn't. Just stared. I felt like I was being pre-divorced in real time and didn't have the script. The real kicker came when I found the folder. Not like a metaphorical folder in my brain or some encrypted file on her laptop. I mean an actual, physical manila folder. Tucked inside her gym bag, under a pair of leggings and a protein bar wrapper. I wasn't snooping, I was trying to find the headphones she always accidentally borrowed. But yeah, that folder. Labeled in her handwriting, just in case. Inside? Printed screenshots. Texts between us, cropped weird, edited so it looked like I was ignoring her or being cold. Some had little notes next to them, like, insert sad voice here, or reference this in argument. Literal annotations. There were even timestamps, like she was building a freaking timeline. And then there was a Word doc titled My Side of the Story with fake therapy quotes and everything. I swear it read like the world's worst one-woman show. I sat on the edge of the bed just holding that thing, thinking, wow, this isn't even a breakup. It's a production. She came in, saw me with it, and didn't even panic. Just sighed, grabbed it from my hands, and said, well, now you know. No apology. No, you weren't supposed to see that. Just resignation. Like I'd found the prop list in a high school play and ruined the illusion. I didn't yell. Didn't throw anything. Just nodded, walked out, and took a drive I didn't come back from for hours. When I got home, she was asleep on the couch with one of the kids' blankets. Like a scene from a drama she forgot to finish. She always did that, fall asleep on the couch after things got tense, like she was trying to stage vulnerability. Like I'd come home, see her curled up like a sad little lamb, and forget everything. And honestly, that tactic probably worked more times than I want to admit. But this time I just stood there. Door still open behind me, keys in hand, watching her like I was the audience now. Like I was finally seeing the whole play instead of just the scenes she wanted me in. I didn't wake her. I didn't even move. I just let the door swing shut on its own and sat on the floor by the coat rack, scrolling through my phone with that weird mechanical detachment you get when your life's actively collapsing but your brain's like, wanna check your email? My inbox had a newsletter from some motivational blog I forgot to unsubscribe from. Subject line, you deserve the truth. Not even kidding. I laughed out loud. Like full, cracked out sitcom laugh that definitely sounded more Joker than joyful. Next morning, she made pancakes. Like nothing happened. Like we were still pretending the same way we always did. She even did the thing where she put the blueberries in a smiley face, which, by the way, she knew creeped me out. But I guess she thought the nostalgia play might work one more time. She poured coffee. Slid me a mug like we were co-stars again. And I said nothing. Because really, what was there left to say? So yeah, after that mirror audition moment, I went on full detective mode. Not like a glamorous moire or anything, no trench coat, no jazz soundtrack, just me in boxers pacing the living room, half eating a stale bagel and wondering how I ended up in this mess. It didn't hit me all at once. Didn't explode with fireworks or a dramatic confrontation. It was little things. Tiny moments that started adding up like breadcrumbs leading through the dark. I realized I'd started noticing how she phased in and out of conversations when I asked her about my day like I was interrupting a carefully scripted monologue. I noticed she'd practiced those sweetened sounding "I really appreciate you" lines in the bathroom mirror, holding a lipstick like a mic, leaning into her delivery. It gave me the creeps. One afternoon, I was cleaning up after lunch, the kids eating mac and cheese in the den watching cartoons, me kneeling on the floor picking up crayons when I saw her phone light up on the counter. Custody Plan 2025 folder, not photos or work, just custody stuff. For a second, I stared, breath shallow, thinking maybe I was hallucinating. But nope. That folder wasn't there before. I have a soft spot for phones I'm not supposed to see. So, like a dumbass, I clicked. Inside? Rehearsals. Rewind, record, re-record. Videos where she'd do the sob line, show the phone moisture, stare into the lens and say, "I don't feel safe." Over and over. Each take labeled, take 2, more subtle, take 3, calmer. At breakfast the next day, week-old yogurt, cereal crusted at the bottom, I asked, "Han, what's take 3? She just laughed, furrowed her brow like I'd asked something absurd. "Oh, it's a draft. Writing exercises." Writing exercises? Yeah, sure. That night, I microwaved leftovers again, more fried rice, less romance. I scroll-fed late like some broken addict, thinking maybe I'm overreacting. But then sticky notes. Lines like, "We need to talk about how neglected I feel." Pause. Voice quivers. Notes on bedroom lighting, white candle versus yellow lamp. Because optics matter. It all felt staged. There were props, tissues, water, the right outfit. It was uncanny. We weren't married anymore. We were co-stars. I remember a Saturday I was at home alone, kids with her at my mom's for the morning, and I found the Real labeled folder beneath a pile of church bulletins and kids' chore charts. There was a USB stick taped under the table with typed notes, "Expose emotional neglect." Lower lighting. Re-record if needed to hit 30 to 45 seconds. Some part of me laughed at the absurdity. Another part split off and shut down. I spent days wondering, why? Don't get me wrong, our marriage had its rough edges. We lost intimacy, clashed over chores, maybe I got emotionally lazy. But manufacturing coldness to claim victimhood? That's a whole other level. Then one night, after the kids were in bed, I pulled up therapy notes from last month. Her therapist showed concern about emotional disconnection. Only problem? She'd never shared them with me. But they were in that same folder, typed up with highlights. Include this sentence: "He refused to attend counseling sessions." Amazing. I paid for them, she didn't even show. I didn't respond. I stacked the papers in a drawer like evidence no one asked for. At some point, I stopped eating dinner. For 5 nights, I ate cereal in the closet. My wife would pop in, wonder why the cereal kept running out, ask if I was okay. I said I was tired. Which was true. I was worn out from living in her play. The worst moment? Sunday brunch. We went to the park, kids splashing, me feeling like a zombie in a t-shirt. She whispered to me, "Nice that you're here," but looked into her phone at that precise moment. Text from some legal lingo friend. "Sent you those disability FAQs." Subtext, "Prepping for case?" I just nodded. Molly from work chased me down later and was like, "Saw that text." "I'm so sorry." I said thanks, swallowed my bagel. Nothing's clean or explosive. No drama. Just an undertow. I found a few deleted messages on her phone, not to me, but saved in notes, drafts of provider statements about me. Statements referencing insurance, mental health, my reluctance to discuss legal separation. She wasn't hoping this would fizzle out. She was preparing for separation before telling me we weren't okay. By then, I realized I wasn't in love with her. I was in love with compatibility that existed in my head, with shared decisions and mundane rhythms. Not this. Not someone who practiced divorce monologues in the mirror. Not someone who weaponized therapy. But what broke me for real? I saw the folder named Jesse, Goals. Way too goal-oriented for a marriage. It looked like a KPI spreadsheet. Marital breakdown metrics. I'd come home Sunday afternoons and she'd say, "How was your nap?" with that phantom smile like she was pleased I ate my stage direction. I started preempting questions I knew would come. Are we doing bedtime without a fight? I'd check my phone. No, she's not messaging. Still in the weakness prep. I was done. Emotionally bankrupt. Burned out. Tired of being in someone else's drama. Finally, I ordered groceries with someone else's credit card, a friend's prepaid card, and threw everything in the fridge. I assembled boxes of clothes, kid toys, books I'd borrowed from the local library. I didn't scream. Didn't cry. I didn't need to. There was no dramatic scene. Just me walking out into a rainy Monday morning, carrying a duffel bag and leaving behind the silent film she'd been directing. I didn't hear the final take. I never got to see the final edit. And honestly, I don't care. Because once you realize you've been part of someone's script, you either leave the stage or you die on it. So yeah, after that Mirror Oscars audition thing, I spent the next week in this weird limbo. Like, on the outside, I was still playing the normal husband part, doing the dishes, helping the kids with homework, pretending to care about her new obsession with air fryer desserts. But on the inside, my brain was throwing a full-blown riot. Every glance she gave me felt rehearsed. Every "how was your day" sounded like it had a script behind it. I even started watching how she blinked. Which, yes, I realize is probably unhealthy, but also, have you ever caught your wife practicing fake crying? Yeah, didn't think so. I kept thinking, what if this wasn't a one-time thing? What if my entire marriage was like a live-action role play she never told me I was part of? And then came Tuesday. Now, Tuesday is normally taco night in our house. Super low effort, tortillas, beef, too much sour cream, everyone pretending we're not just eating sad leftovers with a twist. But this Tuesday, she was weird. Too smiley. Too chipper. The kids were chattering about some school project and she was just nodding along like a suburban Stepford clone. I poured myself a Coke, sat down, and tried to act chill. Keyword, tried. And then she dropped it. So I've been thinking, she says, folding a napkin like it owed her money. Maybe we should do family therapy. You know, just in case the custody thing ever gets messy. Bro. She said it like we were talking about switching dentists. Just casual, no biggie, just planting the seed that, oh, by the way, if we split, I've already got a head start on the narrative. And I'm sitting there mid-chew like, is this beef or betrayal? I didn't say anything right then, again, coward points, but after the kids went to bed, I pulled the classic wanna talk move. She looked at me like I'd asked if she wanted to join a cult. Me, what did you mean about the custody thing getting messy? Her innocent smile intensifies, oh, just being proactive. You never know. Me, proactive like, rehearsing courtroom speeches? Her face dropped for half a second. Like, blink and you miss it panic. Then she laughed. Babe, are you serious? You think I do that? And listen, I wanted to believe her. I really did. But my gut was already curled up in a ball whispering run. She goes to bed early. Says she's emotionally drained. From what? Microwave tacos? And I stay up on the couch replaying that mirror scene in my head like I'm editing a conspiracy documentary. Then I do something I'm not proud of. I check her iPad. Now before you jump on me with the whole privacy thing, hear me out, it was right there. Unlocked. Notifications popping up like it was begging to be a plot twist. And oh boy, did I get one. She had a folder in her notes app called Narratives. Not even kidding. Inside were literal bullet point drafts of things she wanted to bring up if we ever split. Things I'd said, moments taken completely out of context, a whole damn monologue about how he never connected with the kids emotionally. Dude, I built them a blanket fort 2 nights ago. I was the dragon. I had the voice and everything. And the worst part? She had timestamps. Like, full CSI level breakdowns. December 3rd, he left during my panic episode to grab milk. Yeah, because you told me you needed milk? And because the panic episode was you yelling at the Alexa for not playing Taylor Swift in the right order? Anyway, I copied everything. Screenshotted, airdropped, sent it to myself like some covert ops dad just trying to survive. Then I sat there staring at the ceiling, wondering if I was crazy or if I just accidentally unlocked the director's cut of my own marriage. She never brought it up again. Not the therapy thing. Not the mirror Oscars performance. Just went back to posting grateful wife selfies with captions like, lucky to have this life 2 hearts, while I was silently contemplating if I needed to start hiding my toothbrush. So let's talk about what happened after that moment. After I told her everyone was tired of her acting and walked out like I was in some moody indie film with a $12 budget and a very dramatic soundtrack, I didn't go far. Just sat in my car, windows fogging up, hands gripping the steering wheel like I was about to launch into orbit. I didn't cry. Not because I didn't want to. Just didn't have anything left. Like, my emotional fuel tank was on E and the warning light had been blinking for months, but I ignored it because I thought love meant pushing through the smoke. Anyway, I drove around aimlessly. Ended up in the grocery store parking lot, sitting there like some divorced dad cliché, playlist on shuffle, phone at 12%, debating if I should text my brother or just keep stewing in my own private apocalypse. Spoiler, I stewed. Because I didn't want pity. I wanted someone to say, bro, this isn't normal. You're not crazy. Later that night, she sent me a voice memo. Because of course she did. Text is too direct for someone who loves monologues. She said, and I quote, I'm sorry if it looked weird. That wasn't the intention. I just rehearse things so I don't say something I regret. Girl, you rehearsed tears. You paused for dramatic effect like you were filming a Netflix pilot. You weren't rehearsing a healthy convo, you were writing a script for my destruction. But sure, go off. Next morning, the school calls to say our youngest had a meltdown. Said daddy's not coming home anymore. And honestly, that gutted me more than any betrayal. Because he didn't understand. He just knew the house felt different. Like the air changed. And all I wanted was to fix it, but how do you fix something you weren't even allowed to admit was broken? I dropped off a care package later, snacks, favorite hoodie, a dumb joke book he liked. Left it on the porch. She came out in full performance mode again. Bathrobe, messy bun, like she was cast as sad mom number 2 in a Hallmark divorce special. Didn't even say hi. Just whispered, this isn't helping. And turned back inside. By Friday, her Instagram was a war zone. Sad quotes. Close-ups of her face with captions like, healing is messy. One of her crying in the car with some indie track playing. Like, genuinely, who took that photo? Is she setting up tripods now? Is this a hobby? People I hadn't heard from in years started messaging me. Hey man, sorry to hear what you're going through. Let me know if you need anything. Translation, she got to them first. One guy even said, I didn't think she was the type to manipulate people. And I just replied, she rehearsed crying. In the mirror. Alone. And left it at that. A week later, I came by to grab some books I left behind. She was sitting at the table again, same spot where this all started. But this time she had her son's toy recorder in her hand. She clicked play. It was a recording of her and the kid talking, except you could tell she was leading him. Like, remember when Daddy scared you, in this gentle, coaxing tone? And the kid's voice? No. Daddy makes pancakes. I didn't say a word. Just took the recorder, turned around, and left. Because if there was still any microscopic atom of hope floating in my chest, that shit got nuked right then. I filed everything. Got the custody stuff moving. And yeah, I documented all of it. I didn't do it to win. I did it because someone had to stop the play and pull the curtain back. She sent one more text, you're making me look like a monster. I didn't reply. Because if you're worried about how you look instead of what you did, that's not guilt, that's PR damage control. So yeah, that's the story. My marriage wasn't a love story, it was a script I didn't know I was cast in. I wasn't her partner. I was her prop. And the wildest part? I'm still unlearning how not to apologize when someone else drops the act and blames me for the curtain call. I wish there was some neat little bow to tie this up with. But there's not. Just me, a new apartment, 2 half-dead plants, and a Spotify playlist that finally doesn't make me feel like I'm living someone else's life. So yeah, next morning, I'm running on 4 hours of sleep and a stomach full of anxiety and cold pizza. She's making eggs like she's auditioning for a cereal commercial, music playing, kids giggling, whole Pinterest core vibe. Meanwhile, I'm just sitting there watching her flip pancakes like she didn't spend last night plotting my character assassination in bullet points. I'm holding my phone under the table rereading those screenshots like they're a crime scene file. And every time she says something cheerful like, did you remember to RSVP to the field trip thing? I'm like, oh, you mean the one you'll say I emotionally neglected them during? Cool. And I know I should have just said something. Like, hey babe, quick question. Why do you have a whole narrative prepped about how I'm a deadbeat dad when we literally watched Bluey together last night and cried at the same part? But nope. I did what I always do, bottled it up like an off-brand soda and tried to smile through the carbonation. That night, I texted my best friend, let's call him Nate, and just said, dude, how do you know if your wife is staging your downfall in real time? He thought I was joking. Sent back a meme. I called him. I never call. That's how he knew it was real. And when I laid it out, screenshots and all, he just goes, bro, what the actual hell? Then he paused. Said something I haven't stopped thinking about since. I think she's trying to win a fight you haven't even started. Like, yeah? That's exactly it. She was building a whole case for a war I didn't even know we were fighting. And here I was, still making sure her stupid oat milk was stocked because the regular kind upsets her vibes. So now I'm spiraling. Do I confront her and risk triggering the "see, he's unstable" card? Do I wait and gather more evidence? Do I lawyer up in secret like some Netflix dad character trying to beat the system before it beats him? Instead, I did the dumbest thing possible. I planned a weekend getaway. I know. But I just needed to see if there was anything real left. Some flicker of actual love. Something not curated for the gram or pre-written in her little narratives manifesto. We went upstate. Rented a dumb little cabin with a hot tub that smelled faintly like regret and chlorine. The kids had fun. She took a million selfies. Posted 2. Captioned them reconnecting dizzy and so grateful growing heart. I felt like I was being held hostage by an Instagram carousel. And then, night 2, the kids were asleep, we were sitting by the fire pit and she says dead serious, do you think we should do a couples podcast? Like, document our healing? I laughed. Couldn't help it. Straight out like a wheeze. She didn't. She just tilted her head and said it could be her thing. People love authenticity. That's when I realized she didn't want a marriage. She wanted a brand. I didn't even know how to respond to that. A podcast? About us? Bro, I was still trying to figure out if this woman even liked me and she's out here trying to pitch us to Spotify like some budget relationship goals influencers. I said, maybe let's just focus on not low-key hating each other before we go viral. She blinked, gave me a tight smile, and went inside to post a fire pit photo with a quote about soft nights and second chances. And I just sat there in the smoke and silence thinking, I'm not in a marriage. I'm in a content strategy. The next week, everything got weirder. Like, I started noticing her turning on voice memos during conversations. She'd set her phone on the table face down, but not really screen lit up, recording app running. She'd ask loaded questions like, don't you think the kids seem scared around you lately? While smiling sweetly and sipping her coffee. I'm telling you, if I hadn't found that notes folder first, I would have thought I was losing my damn mind. So I started my own doc. Yeah. Call it petty, but I needed a paper trail. I had timestamps, dates, witnesses. Shout out to Nate, who I now think of as my emotional paralegal. I even printed out screenshots like I was prepping for court. And I still hadn't confronted her. Why? Because I couldn't figure out if saying something would defuse the bomb or make it explode. Then came the night she fake cried in front of the kids. I walked in from work and she was sitting on the floor, whispering to them like some wounded saint. Daddy just doesn't understand mommy's pain. And they looked at me like I'd kicked a puppy. Dude, I swear. I saw red. But I didn't yell. Didn't scream. Just said, "Can we talk?" in the calmest voice I've ever managed in my life. She stood up, wiped invisible tears, and said, "Not in front of the children." And that was it. I packed a bag. Took the couch cushions that still smelled like me. Left a note that just said, "You want a performance? Find a new co-star." Nate helped me move my stuff the next day. He brought bagels. Said, "You sure you're done?" I just showed him the podcast text again. He nodded. "Yeah, that's a wrap." I didn't do the whole dramatic exit, by the way. No slamming doors, no driving off into the rain while sad indie music plays. I literally left midday on a Thursday carrying a laundry basket full of my clothes and a half-dead succulent. Real peak masculinity vibes. Stayed at Nate's for a bit, which shout out to him because his guest room is just his garage with a twin mattress and a lava lamp, but honestly, it felt more peaceful than my own house had in months. And here's where things got stupid. She started texting me like nothing happened. "Can you send the kids their math homework? Do you remember where we put the Halloween decorations? Random, but do you want to co-sign on a new dishwasher?" Bro, I hadn't even unpacked my toothbrush and she's out here doing her best. "We're still a team" impression like I didn't just walk out of her whole life. So I ignored most of it. Replied when it was about the kids. Kept it dry. Neutral. Like the HR version of myself. Until I got a call from the school counselor. Apparently, she'd been emailing the school about emotional distance at home and concerns about my ability to manage stressful interactions. AKA planting seeds for custody. Again, I was so angry I had to sit in my car with the air blasting, just gripping the wheel like it owed me money. Like, imagine building a whole-ass family thinking you're just going through a rough patch and finding out the other person is 2 steps into a courtroom drama and you didn't even get the script. So I finally sent her a message. One sentence, "You want a war or a truce?" She replied with, "Let's be mature about this." I didn't even bother answering. I just hit send on a Dropbox link with every note, screenshot, and date-stamped thing I collected. An hour later, she texted, "Can we talk?" Classic. We talked. Or, well, she talked. I mostly sat there, arms crossed, sipping a gas station coffee like it was a negotiation prop. She cried. Said she was lost. Said she didn't know what she was doing. Claimed she was trying to take control before things fell apart. Which kinda ironic since she lit the match herself. She asked if we could try again. Start fresh, she said, like we were rebooting a phone. I didn't even have it in me to get mad. I just looked at her and said, "You don't even like me. You just liked what I did for your image." She didn't deny it. Just looked away. That was the most honest thing she'd done in months. So no, we're not getting back together. We're figuring out co-parenting. I get the kids on weekends. They bring over glitter slime and stories from school and we make pancakes and laugh at dumb movies. It's not perfect, but it's real. Sometimes I still catch myself waiting for the next twist. Like she'll pop up with a new angle or some performative nonsense. But mostly, I just stop playing. She can keep her scripts, her mirror monologues, her curated grief. I'm out of the show. And honestly, I don't miss the spotlight.